What's up guys, Pop101 here. Today I'm going to be showing you Trials of Shinobi 1.5 with all the new spells, abilities, and everything else with it. So let's get started. Okay, so two very important things before we start. One, it's linked down in the description below, free for everybody to use, so definitely make sure to get it. And the other thing is, this is actually a pretty large update, my first official U12 update coming out for you all. So I have a lot to cover in this video. First off, the mod book. Thanks to Blade and Sorcery U12, we can now add public variables where you can change live in the game. So I'm just going to be taking you through all the most important ones, as well as showing you some new abilities in the weapons, spells, and everything along with it. I'm just going to go down this list and take you through everything. So the Amaterasu, obviously the projectile speed, the Rasen shuriken radius, so when you're merging the Amaterasu and the Rasen shuriken. So if we get the Amaterasu, which is right here, and we get the Rasen shuriken, which is this bad boy right here, we merge it. We can customize the radius, so this is what it looks like. We throw it, and yeah, I do need to work on the particles a little bit, but that's what it looks like. So we can customize the explosion radius right here, and the Chidori. A couple of cool little features, so if we get it, we pull the grip. Obviously, we get the Chidori. Now, if we change it like that, we actually change the effect that we're using. So Sasuke's Onyx, Kakashi's Purple Lightning, we have literally everything. And then, of course, you can always put it back. It's whatever floats your boat, to be honest. Now, the Chidori has been overhauled quite a bit, so let me just get into everything. Including all the electrocution timers, the Chidori Sharp Spear, whether it kills you and everything, the Kirin, oh man, the Senbon, the Explosion Forces, Lightning Cloak. Okay, there's quite a lot to go over. So first off, why don't we spawn in some guys? I'm thinking we can spawn in one for now. Well, if we get the Chidori, obviously we pull the grip, that's what happens. Now, one bug in the previous version is if you held it on two hands, and you let go, it would stay. Well, now it works properly. And of course, the Chidori lets you go, stick your fist right into enemies, and you can electrocute them too. Just a little fun thing. But that's not what I really want to show you. If you get the Chidori, you hold the trigger, this is what it looks like. If you aim your hand and you throw it up into the sky at a certain speed, you actually get Kirin to come out and electrocute enemies, that Thunder Dragon, which I gotta say, I think came out pretty great. Now, of course, you can customize everything about it, and literally everything about this mod in general, because, I mean, come on, take a look. There is, I believe, over 80 different public things that you can change. So if something isn't to your liking, you can literally go in here and change absolutely everything. The Chidori Sharp Spear. Okay, so all you need to do is get the Chidori, you pull the grip and the trigger, and you can actually shoot out this line which electrocutes enemies. That's pretty awesome, don't you think? And if we keep doing it like that, they get electrocuted, you can customize whether or not they die instantly, and all the fun sorts of things around that. We went over Kirin, and one cool thing which I really enjoy is this Lightning Cloak. So, if we get the Chidori, like so, and we get the Rinnegan, pull the triggers, and both, you merge it, and let's forget about the Susanoo for the moment, because that's still in beta. You throw your hands apart, we are now covered in lightning. And just in case you guys didn't believe me, let's do this one more time. We merge, we pull apart, we're covered in lightning. But not only are we covered in lightning, but check this out. We are super fast, we can jump super high, and overall, we can use Sasuke's Lightning Cloak, which, paired with the Chidori, gets really overpowered. Now I know what you guys are thinking, wasn't this in Trials of the Shinobi before? Yes, it was, but one cool feature about it now is, let's say you want to keep it on, you want to use some other abilities like fire, hidden enemy, do all that fun stuff. Now, all you have to do is do it again, and you can actually turn it off properly, and there we go. We're nice and slow, we're on normal speed, and we can use it in conjunction with any abilities. So let's say, if I really wanted to become overpowered, why don't we do the Rinnegan and the Chidori. So let's turn back on our Lightning Cloak and, oh, I don't know, Expansion Jutsu. So we have Sasuke's Lightning Cloak and the Akimichi clan's giant hands. I mean, come on, that's pretty overpowered. Alright, but enough out of the lightning cloak. Why don't we go to the expansion jutsu? So I just showed you guys that. You can customize the knockback size, the hand size. One cool feature about it is if we actually select it like this, we see our hands grow. We can change it live in the book too. So if we want to decrease our hand size, look at this. We're decreasing that value and our hand is literally changing right in front of us. And one fun little thing is I made it so you can give yourself tiny little baby hands. Look at this. Look at this. Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me set this to 0.3. Why don't we get an enemy real quick? Oh, look at this. Oh, turns out the fireball scales to your hand size. That's something I didn't know. And look at this. Ah, hey friend. And of course, pull the trigger again to turn it off, but I'm going to put it back to normal. And the same thing happens when you merge it and you become gigantic. You can increase the punch force, yada yada yada. We have Fireball Jutsu, which one cool feature that I added was whether or not it uses gravity. I actually like this quite a bit. So if you pull the trigger, you let go. Obviously, Fireball Jutsu. If you shoot it out like that, it'll never come down. But if we turn on gravity and we shoot it like this, notice it starts arcing. And it eventually comes down like that. So, just a little thing. It's not something that's completely necessary, but I figured why not add it. And customize the explosion force, the speed, and everything along with it. And one last thing that I ended up adding that I thought is really, really cool. So if we pull the grip and then the trigger, we can actually use fire breathing as part of Fireball Jutsu now, which I gotta say that actually turned out pretty great if I do say so myself. And if we use it on a couple guys at once, let's see what happens. And we use it. Let's light all these bad boys on fire. Oh, hey, pal. Yeah, don't worry, I'm not leaving you out at all. And of course, we can always just clean up enemies with the Rasen Shuriken. And boom, easy peasy. Now, one thing that I've been working on very, very hard was getting the Kamui in the game. But I made it a lot better than it was before. So why don't we take a look? I'm just going to take you through all of these abilities. So if we select it, it is very similar looking to the Rinnegan, but slightly more green. So if we pull the trigger and then the grip, we can phase through certain objects. But here's where it gets funny. So you can customize what things do when you phase. So let's say I do this. I'm holding the trigger, the spell button, so you can literally customize whether or not you can phase while you're holding weapons too. So it's always active. You can phase with your items, or you turn that on, you can phase but have your items still have collisions. So if you wanted to fight an enemy and they're, let's say, coming at you, all you have to do is hold the trigger and spell button, and look at this. We can phase right through them, but we can still hit them. And of course you can turn that off. And something very, very funny, which I managed to get working, was whether or not this happens with a creature. So normally we can phase creatures through the walls, right? Well, if we do that, and we hold the trigger and we're grabbing him, we can phase through, but he cannot. So that makes it slightly overpowered. Turn it off, and again. Now the most important thing to me is actually this Kamui radius. So, the Kamui is very important. If we pull the trigger, and we release it, we actually shoot out this Kamui particle. Now, it looks something like this black thing right here that shrinks. And any objects near it will actually get sucked into it and shrink. Next up, we have particle style. I do believe that everything is basically the same as it was in the previous version. I mean, we have the lighten and weighted boulders, so if we select the ability and we pull the trigger while grabbing an enemy, they become weightless. And if we press the spell button, they get super duper heavy. So for me, I can of course almost lift them up, and this is with fast weapon handling equipped. So you know, they must weigh a heck of a lot if I can't lift them up. And of course, if you want to make it easy again, just pull the trigger and bada bing, bada boom, they come back. Oh, he's still alive? Wah! And look at that, he just ends up flying away. Or you can do something like that. It's basically like they have the gravity effect on them, but without it. One important thing that I learned how to do, that I added, was if we do the creature spawner, let's say they're just lounging about like that, we use particles, and we hit them. Any holstered weapons will drop now too, or you can customize whether or not that happens. So, like this, everything gets vaporized. And then the same thing happened with our atomic dismantling jutsu beam, of course. So, if we use a couple of these bad boys right here, we merge it together, ching! Look at that, everything. And of course, you can get rid of items, doesn't matter whether they're holstered on the rack or not. It's slightly incredibly overpowered, but it's a lot of fun nonetheless. And one thing I really enjoy is that you can actually customize this beam size right here. So normally it's set at 2, and let's take a look at that again. Merge, this is how big it is. But let's say you're feeling really spicy. Let's increase the size of it. Yes, you can customize this live. Double it just casually, and boom. Yeah, everybody's getting vaporized with this thing right here. But I'd highly recommend staying at 2 because that works perfectly in between your hands. Next we have the Rasen Ringu, which isn't its own spell anymore. I'm not sure if that was like that in the previous version, so why don't we get the Rasen Shuriken and our Rasengan, merge it together. We have our Rasen Ringu. It looks absolutely stunning, and ching! Boom! And yeah, it explodes, knocks things back. It's very, very overpowered. Of course, we have our Rasen Shuriken, which I added a dismember on explosion, which I might do that to the Rasen Ringu as well, but for now, what we're going to do is get some creatures, and you guys saw just a little bit before. If we actually get the Rasen Shuriken, this is what it looks like. We throw it, boom. That's what happens. But let's say you want to do something special. Well, turn on dismember on explosion. Let's see what happens. Oh, yep, they get turned into mincemeat. I'm not showing that anymore, but you guys get the idea. Alright, now the Rinnegan is probably the thing that's been updated the most in this pack. So, first off, launched and grabbed weapons. So if we select it, I'm going to put it on both hands just so I can show you guys. If we get the Rinnegan, which is right here. So pull the trigger, release, we shoot out these lovely chakra rods. Pull the trigger and then the grip. We get our long chakra rod. And then if we hold the trigger while grabbing any weapon with the Rinnegan, we can actually use Ishiki's ability to make it grow and hold the spell button to make it shrink. So yeah, it's something that wasn't entirely necessary, and I do still think that I need to work on how it works, because at the moment, if we summon one of these and we just continue holding it, it continues to grow, which I don't like the mechanics of it at the moment. So if you guys have suggestions on how I can improve it, let me know in the comments below. But aside from that, that's what it does. Those are the two little abilities so far. We have our weapon speed, so it customizes how fast it shoots out. We have a despawn timer, and if you set it to 0, these bad boys will never despawn. But if we set it to something like, I don't know, 1 second, we shoot it, after a second it goes away. Nice and simple like that. We have our universal pull speed and our universal push speed. So you can customize whether or not, like how far away they are, how much explosion knockback it does. We spawn in a couple of guys right here. And I'm going to do some right there too, so just so I can show you. We get our Rinnegan, we merge, and obviously knock them back. And these guys right here, and pull them close. And that is something, I don't know if you guys just noticed, it is still very much in beta, and I showed it a little bit before accidentally. We push our hands together while Rinnegan is in at least one of them. We get Sasuke's Susanoo ribcage, which actually follows us. So if we move, this is what happens. Easy peasy, right? Hey guys, it's me. Put our hands together, we get Sasuke's Susanoo ribcage. Release. Together, release. Together, release. And that's how it works. So if enemies are coming at us, we push our hands together, we can use the ribcage to protect us. It's really that simple. Now I know it doesn't look super great at the moment. It's still in beta, of course. This was mainly just a thing to see if I could get it working, which it does. Alright, but let's see what else we got. So just like the Chidori, I did add a similar ability, just as the Kirin does. Now, I need to get the actual game object for it, the actual cubes, but for now, if we select the Rinnegan, and we hold the trigger, we throw our hand up in the air, we can summon Ishiki's boxes, which at the moment, they're just these giant cubes and giant boxes that are breakables, but they will eventually have the right black and red cubes. And with these, you can customize how fast they come down, how quickly you can use it, just like the Kirin, the range, how far apart they are, like up and down, the X, Y, and Z axis, the amount of them. So let's say you wanted to get really crazy and summon 15 at once. Well, maybe I don't recommend this, but you can just summon as many of these guys as you want, and it's actually pretty cool. Luckily, despawning them is something that comes in very handy, because you wouldn't want these to stay around all the entire time. And the last most important thing, we have the Amenotejikara, which basically, why don't we get rid of these guys real quick? We can only have one in front of us, which should make this quite a bit easier. So if we spawn in one fellow right there, and we grab any item while we're holding the Rinnegan. And another cool thing about the Susanoo ribcage, it can work while you're holding weapons too, so can easily attack enemies. But anyways, we hold the spell button and the trigger and the grip as we're holding a weapon, obviously. We can actually switch places with whatever creature we're looking at, and we can also automatically turn to face them. And yes, as you guys just saw by that little jump, they go to the exact place you were at. So one funny thing we can do is if I wanted to switch places with them right up here, and he falls to his death. Oh no, look at that, he's still alive. Alright. Well, in that case. But extremely overpowered, tons of fun to use. Rinnegan is probably my favorite ability. We have our Shadow Clone Jutsu, which you can customize the merge amount. So if we select the bad boy right here, pull the trigger, release, Shadow Clone. Comes in a poof of smoke. Comes with a weapon on their back. Even though I just killed them, they have a lot less health than usual. Yeah, summoning one is pretty cool, but let's say you're fighting a group of enemies. Well, obviously it would kind of get tough if you're fighting all of them by yourself or with only one of these guys. So what I did was make it so if you merge Shadow Clone together, you pull apart, you get multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. You can spawn in as many as you want. Yes, I know it's going to be a lot, and it might lag my game just a tad, but let's summon 15 of them at once just to see how well this works. So if we get rid of every single one of these buckaroos real quick, and we get our Shadow Clone Jutsu, merge it, and boom. Check out my army of ninja Shadow Clones. All of my Shinobi right here. And just for fun, let's just chuck a Rinnegan right in the middle. Obviously, it's only extremely overpowered. Obviously, we have the Shuriken Jutsu, which if you select it, lets you spawn in shurikens like so. And on that note, the greatest, or at least one of the greatest new abilities in my opinion, we have, if I can actually scroll down to it, the auto-target force. So, basically, if we spawn in a creature like so, and we have a weapon like so, it now auto-targets either the head, or if we take it out of him, it auto-targets the either head or the neck. I can customize it to other body parts, so let me know if that's something you'd like. But it aims at one of these two parts with a little bit of variation. So let's say you want to do something like this. We get in our shurikens. Obviously, if we press the spell button, we can electrocute them, but if we throw it, notice they don't always aim at the same place. There's a little bit of variation just for fun. And I do need to work on it just a little bit, because it's not perfect, but for now, it works very, very good. And let me just fix that bug right there, but look at this. So if we get it, honestly, I'm just going to drop that. We can throw it, and notice the shurikens are also spinning because I added the animation to it. And yeah, it gets stuck in his head. Don't worry about it, it's okay. So while using Quicksilver, if I get a shuriken like this, and we hold the trigger, ready for this, so let's get it, we throw it. we activate Quicksilver mode and take a look at this. So it's not only aiming directly at the guy's neck, but it's also spinning. Oh, looks like he's still alive. Alright, well, in that case, why don't we get it? We throw it. And with it being a little bit faster, you can see that the shuriken is literally spinning and it's aiming directly at him. So now, you guys that are terrible with throwing weapons will no longer have any issues. Wow, that was a little tap too. Just so you guys know, if we take a look at it, you can customize the force of it. If it's set to 0, then this auto-target force will not be active. But one thing I really want to show you is if we spawn in a guy right here, all you need is a weapon that has a fly ref. So for example, Chakra Saber aims directly at him. Chakra Blade aims directly at him. We have, let's see, Kiba's Lightning Blade. Why don't we turn this on? Aims directly at him. It's pretty great. Ooh, let's see, we have the new Ibari. Oh, hold on, guys. I'm going to take a little break from the video just to do this. Ooh, the kunai. This one is important, so I'm going to get a couple of them. Just for fun. So, new Ibari, of course. Aims directly at him. And what we have, you know, I'm going to get a different guy. Of course, it automatically aims at the closest enemy, which is this guy, so... What's that? This. And if we wanted to do something like a spinning roundhouse, right at his noggin. Easy peasy. And are there any more that I want to show you? I don't believe so. But then again, I mean, come on. The vibrato lightning release sword, so killer bees right here. Easy. And then this guy. Oh yeah, you still alive? Well, you guys get the idea, even if it does ricochet. We have our Enma size multiplier, so how quickly the Enma staff grows and decreases. Shinobi Grappling, which lets you disarm and steal their weapons. So, at the moment, let's hit him, knock him down, then he'll get up and grab a weapon. Then I can show you. So if we set it to disarm, so when they're grabbing a weapon, if you grab that hand that's holding the weapon with either of yours, you pull the trigger, they automatically drop it. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Well, if you set it to steal, one cool thing you can do is not only disarm them, but you automatically grab it from them too. Now yeah, it might be slightly overpowered, but I figured it'd be a fun little thing to add to Trials of the Shinobi. Just because it's an ability that I've wanted to do in Blade and Sorcery for a long time. But it is set off to default, so you'd have to turn it on. There's a deactivation timer for Enma, and one thing I really want to show you, well, two actually, are the Minato and the living Samehada. So let me get Minato real quick. I'm going to show you. So if we go to our book, we have our brand new PyPop 101's mods in the Trials category. And what we're going to be looking for is Minato's Flying Thunder Guide Kunai. So obviously we have Minato's Kunai, we throw it, we press the spell button, and we teleport directly to it. That's pretty cool, right? And notice if we press it again, we can't teleport. We'd have to re-grab it. So, that's what it does. Pretty cool. It can teleport you directly to wherever it is, even if that's in the air like you guys just saw. One thing which I really want to show you are the awesome new features that I added. So if we change it to grab, if we are holding it, we throw it, we pull the trigger, we automatically grab it and go to the location. Now, I changed it from its previous method, so you can automatically throw it from whenever you're grabbing it. So, it doesn't matter, like, you don't need to re-grab it at all, so you guys can always use it no matter what. To deactivate it, all you need to do is press the spell button, and now you can no longer automatically teleport it. So just to reiterate so you guys actually know, when the teleport grab is active, you can always teleport to it, unless you press the spell button. When you try to pull the trigger now, you can't teleport to it. So it turns the feature off. All you have to do to turn it back on again is re-grab it. And then last but not least, we have this auto-rotate feature right here, which I really love using with the auto-grab. So let's say I throw it right here. Notice we always end up facing our enemy. Like, that is super cool. Whatever our closest enemy is. So let's say I want to go from all the way over here. We throw it. We're automatically facing him. And it just makes it so much better. It's better than teleporting up there and facing like this. I mean, come on. We want to fight our enemy, right? And of course, for those of you that don't like it though, you can easily just turn it off, throw it, and look at that. We are not facing our enemy anymore. Now, one thing I'm really curious to see what you guys are going to think is the living Samehada. So there's a movement timer, movement amount, and sounds when it moves. And of course, health on kill every time you use it. So if we get our Samehada, look at this. I added 9 different noises that it makes randomly, and it also moves randomly too. Because keep in mind, the Samehada is alive, right? So I figured, why not make it like that? Like it's hungry for chakra. Yeah, it's just something super funny. The other fun thing is, it also tries to move when it's in your hand too. Customize all these features about it, like how much it moves, when it moves, yada yada yada. Or if it moves at all, you can just turn living Samehada off. We have our Paralysis Senbon, how long they get paralyzed for. So if I wanted to grab this for you guys real quick, we can honestly get our Paralysis Kunai with our yellow tag. And our Senbon too. It doesn't really matter which. As long as you touch an enemy with it, ding! Go on, you can do it. He falls all paralyzed. You can customize how long it works for. It's just really, really funny. One thing I do want to do, which I'd actually recommend to you guys, is you can customize it to your liking, obviously. So, one really enjoyable thing about the Rinnegan is you can change which weapon gets shot out and which weapon you grab. So if I wanted to shoot out our Senbon right here, like so, and you know what? I'm gonna spawn in some waves. Let's do 5. We select our Rinnegan, we pull the trigger. We actually can shoot out our Senbon now instead of the chakra rod. So anytime it touches an enemy, they get instantly paralyzed. Is it overpowered? Yes, incredibly. Is it a ton of fun to use? 100%. Oh, you're stuck? Oh yeah, right in the head. It does get a little bit hard to see just because of how small the Senbon are. So if I wanted to shoot something much larger, like all of these, they go directly in the direction of the fly ray. So if let's do Shisui's Tonto, for example, can obviously shoot this bad boy out. I can always mix and match, and just because you can customize how long and how large things are in this mod, with Shisui's Tonto, you can make it the size of an actual sword just by holding the trigger and making it grow like so. As you guys can tell, I also added some tool tips for Trials of the Shinobi. There is, I believe, 45, if not a couple of more. Just for a little bit of fun. I figured why not. A lot of other people are starting to do it, and Trials of the Shinobi has so much stuff to it, might as well. But guys, I do believe that is it. If you guys like this mod, you like Trials of the Shinobi, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. Thanks for watching.